Hello, welcome to the training. I am Gift Solomon of Virtual Mancy. I am your online tutoring skill coach. Today I will be taking you on this topic, how to prepare for an online class. And in this topic, we shall be looking at all the tips that you need for a successful online class preparation and presentation. So we shall be going into the introduction first. We will have to look at the introduction that says a great and exceptional online class begins with planning and preparation. There are various ways you can prepare a lesson. Number one way we can prepare a lesson is the sharing method. And when we use the sharing method, then we have to consider using some apps like live conferencing apps and other screen recording apps. In that case, you will have to create a slide that you want to share, and then from the screen record, you are going to share that slide to your students. Another one in the sharing method is you may also want to upload files. Now, these may be files that you've already prepared and saved in your drive, and then you may just want to upload them and then you talk about them, and it's this in the sharing method. Another one is you can also want to share your whiteboard while you are teaching. We have our online whiteboards that perform the same function as a physical classroom whiteboard, in the sense that you have the opportunity to write on those whiteboards. You can also erase whatever you want to erase. And then the students from the other end, depending on the app you're using, can also write on that whiteboard. In the sense that if I say 1 plus 1 equal 2, the student from the other end can input 2 as an answer. And I will see what the students have done, while the student is also seeing what I have done. So that is the sharing method. You can share either a slide, like the thing like what you're watching right now in this training. This is a slide sharing. I am sharing my slide and I am talking into it using an app. Likewise, I can also decide to just upload a file and then share it with my student, and then we talk about it. Then I can also use the whiteboard method that we've talked about. Then the number two ways that you can prepare a lesson is either using just verbal method, using just your voice, your audio voice. But this method will not be very much engaging. It will be so boring to the child that the child may not flow, because the child is not seeing anything on the screen, neither, and the child is just listening to you alone. But when there are shares, when some things are shared, like images, captures, and other things are shared, you will see that that child will develop interest, and then the child will pay more attention. So using the only verbal method is a method where the child is seeing me and I'm seeing the child, like a real-time classroom conversation, but then I am not sharing anything. Then another one that we'll look at is using recorded classes. Like the class that you are in right now, this is a recorded class. Everything has already been done. All I do is to upload it and then you watch, right? So this is a recorded class. This is another way of preparing a class for your students. So the first one we talked was sharing method, where you have an opportunity to share files, share materials, share slides, share whiteboard, and the rest. But in the second method, you are only talking to the child without sharing. And then the third one is using recorded classes. These are classes that you have already made, pre-made, and then you just share to the child. As the child opens up, the child flows through. So these are the three main ways of preparing a lesson. Now, we want to look at the apps that will help us to host a very wonderful, successful live classes. Now, the first one here is Zoom. Zoom is a live conferencing app. It is one of the best apps for meetings. Zoom has great features. It has wonderful features that makes it very easy for collaboration and conferencing, in the sense that when I use my Zoom, I can see the child face to face, and the child can also see me face to face. We can also do live chatting. We can also do sharing of every form of files and even whiteboard with Zoom. The next one is Google Meet. Google Meet is an awesome app provided to us by Google. And with Google Meet, you can also do live conferencing. When we talk about live conferencing, we are talking about you seeing the child and the child seeing you as in like in real time. And it's not something that is imagined. It is real. You're seeing me, I'm seeing you, and we are talking. I'm seeing your gesture, I'm seeing your smile, I'm seeing the child's responses, physical disposition. I'm seeing everything. So Zoom has the same most of the features of sorry, Google Meet has the features that Zoom has, in the sense that we can also share files, we can share whiteboard, and then we can also chat. Okay. So the next one, other one that has a live chat is Canva. But Canva can only be used on desktop, on phone, on laptop, sorry, cannot be used on phone. And these are great, wonderful apps that helps us to host live classes. Definitely there are others, but these are the major ones and the most used ones, especially Google Meet. People tend to use Google Meet more because they believe that it is less expensive, right? Then we should understand that all of these has pro version. That when you subscribe to the pro version, you will have more, you will now have access to more features. Next, we shall be looking at tips for successful class presentation. How do I come up and present a class that ends up being successful and impactful? Now, we want to advise that every one of us, when we are coming out for a class, should dress professionally. What this means is that there is a tendency and a temptation for you to say, I'm not going anywhere, I'm in my house. But then the professional dressing has a way of setting you fit for that role of a teacher. So when you are dressed casually, as you would be when you are in your home doing your chores, it's not the same way that you should dress when you're coming online for a class. So we advise every online tutor that we should not be tempted to dress shabbily. Dress professionally and know that you're coming for a class as you would a physical class. Then another thing that, so you have to dress professionally. Then the second one is that you should work to retain students. Now that's where marketing come in and good approach. You should put in your best to your job. You should put in your best to your tutoring. You should bring in every techniques, because once you've gotten a client, that client it has the potential to give you two or more other clients. So you shouldn't take it for granted. You should work to retain that student, either one or two. Whichever student you happen to get, you shouldn't just allow them to slide. So you that will call for more of creativity, patience, and relationship. You have to see that your students are retained and not just picking you for 1 month and then letting you go. Another one is that you have to learn about students' exam. What this means is that whatever country you're coming from, every other countries have their own exams, their special exam, national exam, and the rest. So if my target for my online tutoring is not my country, if it is another country, let's say if it is US, then I have to study the US exams for what it looks like. Because there is no how that I will tutor a child and I will not connect it to their exam that may be approaching sooner or later, right? Then another thing you want to do is to invest in your business. As an online tutor, you are already in business. You shouldn't just allow yourself accept any and anyhow thing. Remember, as a business person, the more you invest, the better productivity you get. So you have to invest in your business. And what this means is that you have to ensure that your gadgets are okay. If they are not okay, whatever you think that you need that will make you have a wonderful class, you just need to get those things. Now we have talked about the things, the physical classroom, and we mentioned some things there. Now those things that we mentioned, if you feel that they are going to help you have a successful class, then you have to invest to get them. You don't have to overlook them or give excuses of why you cannot get them, right? Now another thing is to understand payment system. Understand payment system, right? They always ask for feedback after it might be weekly, it might be after each class, might be at the end of a month. But make sure that the parents of the students you're tutoring always send in their feedback. In that way, you know where to improve and do better. Then the next one there is that you set classroom rules. When we talk about classroom rules, these are things like telling the child to always mute yourself, no movement, no moving about, no lying down when class is going on, no late connection, and the rest. No late submission. You just know as you keep interacting with those students, you come to understand the areas where you need to set some rules and boundaries. So that will help you to have a successful class. Then another one is that you should consider the first lesson as free. Yes, you should consider the first lesson as free. Consider the first lesson as free. All these are the tips that we are giving out. Consider you don't always insist on money. For you to get clients, sometimes you just need to do something for free. Then test run your first class. This is very, very important. Before I go out to say I want to go and get students, I want to start teaching, I must test run my first class. And this might be me connecting with my own child at home. This might be with me connecting with a friend's child elsewhere. This might be me connecting with a relative child elsewhere, but everything about it is free demo class where I demonstrate and I get feedback from them. They tell me how it was, where they had errors, and all that. So that will help you to have a wonderful presentation. Now, to make lessons engaging, alternate lessons by making the curriculum a mixture of fun and learn. Now, don't just have a strict curriculum where there is no play, where there is no fun, only learning, learning, learning. The child will be bored. So, the online space gives you opportunity for such resources that are fun filled, that are more engaging. So you can go there and then you get those things. Then introduce games and quizzes. Introduce games, quizzes, and puzzles to your classes. Now the online space has so many games that you and your kids can play. There are so many games that you can send to your kids to play, and then you see the score. It has quizzes, it has puzzle, all those things. You get them down and then you send to your child, either before the class, in the middle of the class, after the class, or during or weekend classes, or when you are free you can say use this for your free time, those kind of things, and you see that your class will be very interesting. Then prepare engaging lesson. Make sure that your lessons are well planned and engaging. It should not be stereotyped or filled with only work, 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 work. Remember, all work no play make Jack a dull boy. Now we are going to be looking at this one, and this one says how to have a great life class. We've talked about life classes. Now, most of the classes we'll be having are synchronous classes, and those classes are life classes. Now, how do I ensure that my meeting with my child face to face or my student face to face is great? One thing you have to do is to check up that you have a complete office setup. Now you have to go back to the class where we talk about complete office setup and ensure that you have a complete office setup. And that's in that has to do with you having a laptop, having what a ring light, having a microphone, a headset, and then having what do anything that you know that an online tutor needs, just like we have mentioned in the previous classes. You need to get those things ready. Now for your whiteboard presentation, sometimes you may need to have a stylus pen to write. So you may not be advised to use your hand to write on your screen. Rather, there is a special pen provided for whiteboard, online whiteboard. So you can get that pen too and add it to what you need to have a wonderful class. Then be professional. When we talk about being professional, you know what you want to talk about. You know the rules and the ethics that surrounds it. Then you should show it that you should sound it out. You should also reflect in your dress. Remember, we've talked about dressing. You should also reflect. Then focus more on the camera. When you're giving out a class, when you're giving a live class, you don't look at the person in the screen. You don't look at the person in the screen. When you do that, you'll be looking downward. So you look direct to your camera, either your phone camera or your laptop camera, right? I should not look at the eye of the person, neither the head or any part of the body of the person. Rather, I should look at the camera. Hope this is clear. So let your camera be above stacked book. Let your camera be above. Let it be above. What it means is that you can put books under your camera. Books can be under your camera to lift it up. Make sure that you're not looking down towards your camera. Rather, your forehead and your camera should be at the same level. Use lightning. It's very wonderful that when you're talking to your child, that your face is bright and not dark. So try to use lightning. That's why we have the ring light as one of the requirements for physical classroom setup. So use lightning. Now, if you have a very good touch tool, you can use that. Then make sure that the window or the door is in front of you. Don't allow the window or the door to be at your back. Let it be in front of you. In that way, it's giving you additional light and brightness. Now, don't sit back relaxed. Don't sit back relaxed. Sit upright, facing the camera, and then make sure that you're always smiling. Make sure you are always smiling. The smile has a great effect on the child at the other end. So ensure that you're always smiling when you are tutoring your students. Then use gesture. Don't just sit stiff. Use gestures and gesticulations. Make sure that your hands are moving, your body parts are moving, your head and your eyes everywhere is moving at the same time while you are teaching. Then don't forget to speak loudly and clearly. You are not whispering. You are not whispering and you are not shouting. Rather, you should speak, knowing that the person is sitting at the back row. A kind of I sitting in the class, standing in front of the class. I should have an understanding or a consciousness that there are people at the back row that needs to hear me. In that way, I am not shouting, but I will be speaking loudly with that consciousness. I will be speaking loudly. So you are not allowed to whisper at all. Rather, you speak loudly, but don't shout. Avoid distractions such as noise, background, poor lighting. Now, try as much as possible to see that. That's why we recommend noise cancellation headset. Try as much as possible to see that noise is reduced. Another thing that will cause distraction is your background. If the child is seeing so many things at the back, remember you're talking to the child, but the child behind you, so many activities are going on, either pictures, frames that can attract the child. The child will be distracted, right? That child will be distracted. So try and see that your background is not distracting. In that way, we will now advise you to get a virtual background. I think the whiteboard, the Zoom app and the Google Meet app that we talked about for live classes, they have virtual background feature. In that way, you can design a simple background in the sense that while you're talking to your child, the child is not seeing your real house. Now, some persons that you see that do video and you see a beautiful background, you might think is their house. No, it is something that they have designed and they have placed there through virtual background. So you can use that feature to see that no distractions are avoided, right? Then another thing is poor lightning. If the lightning is poor, it can also cause distraction. Wow. I believe that if we do all these things, we are going to have a wonderful class and we are going to be great and successful online tutors. Once again, I am Virtual Momsy, and I really want to thank you for staying with me in this class. God bless you.